This time on Flipping Bangers.
We wanted something glam.
Potentially, this car could be extremely dangerous. We're going to end up buying it, whatever's wrong with it.
So we took a chance.
That temperature gauge is rocketing. We need to get back right now. On the best looking.
When I look at that car now, I can genuinely say it scares me.
But cruelest.
It's a real waste of time when you find out that what you've done hasn't fixed the problem.
Most frustrating.
Motor we could find.
It's not coming off, Gus. Still not coming off.
I'm Gus Gregory.
And I'm Will Trickett.
Together, we're risking everything to follow a dream.
It's something I've wanted to do for a long, long time.
We've packed in our day jobs
And invested our own hard-earned cash.
as we try to make a living in the cutthroat world of second-hand cars.
It's all in the chase. You've got to buy well, you've got to sell well.
Why would anybody buy this car?
We've got a goal.
We want to double our money. If we put 500 quid in, we need to see £1,000 back. We're targeting the very bottom of the market.
We buy cars that nobody else wants.
Can we keep our business afloat? Flipping Bangers?
It needs so much work doing to it.
1 year ago, we turned our backs on our regular jobs, rented this garage and attempted to carve out a new living by buying and selling cheap cars, and made enough money flipping bangers just to return.
People dream of giving everything up, but we're doing it for real. And it's scary.
We've raided our piggy banks again, and this time we have enough to spend £500 to £1,000 on each car. If we want to cover our costs and pay ourselves wages on top, we have no choice but to double our return on every pound we put in. Our workshop time must be fixed too, and runs to just 5 days per car. We've swapped a salary and a wage, possibly for nothing.
The workshop is hungry for fresh, rusty metal. What shall we get? We've learnt that rare cars can sometimes be tough. So this time we keep it mainstream and see what a few hundred quid will buy us.
I reckon we need to look for something sporty and flash and relatively modern.
That's what you're looking for?
Yeah, I'm going to try typing that in. And it's come up with a whole ream of things. Now I'm lost already. What do you reckon, Gus?
I'm just thinking of price range. So I think that SLK?
Oh, right, OK. Yeah, don't really fill me with that much interest.
No, me neither. Those early 1800s.
Yeah, we want something which is really sort of trusted. Something that's going to sell easily, something popular.
Like a Porsche, Boxster. You'd get a Boxster. I bet we'd get a Boxster. No?
Too many of those. Yeah, no, surely there's something
Yeah,
else.
I could do a Boxster.
Good cars. They're
Oh,
not
TT.
nice.
The first generation
Audi.
hot four-wheel drive.
Yeah, they were cool.
Really cool.
There are thousands of TTs out there, but they have too many zeros in the price. Something that we've never tried before is to call up auction ads that have ended with no sale. It might throw up a troubled TT that no one else wants. The next day, we have a lead.
So we're going to see Ollie. Ollie lives in Milton Keynes,
Brilliant.
which is the throbbing heart of the British motor racing industry.
It certainly is. Certainly a good part of it, eh?
Yeah, and he's selling his dad's car, and is apparently been sitting around for a bit because he bought it to sell it and then didn't sell it.
OK.
And then I think it's sat around a bit more.
Yeah.
And the price has gone from,
Yeah.
potentially worrying. The price has gone from £1,500 to £1,000.
That's quite a drop, isn't it?
Yeah, it is quite a drop, but especially when you take into consideration what it is. And it's a Series 1 in the most beautiful grey. Sweet.
I do. That is gorgeous colour.
Yeah, and it's got a special edition interior. You know, the baseball glove.
That's gorgeous. Leather.
Yeah, with that big leather stitching.
Oh, that is so nice.
Yeah.
Not everybody's cup of tea, I might say,
No.
but I
No.
really like it.
There's a big list of things wrong with it.
Now, how did I know?
We arrive in an industrial estate where the TT has been taken especially for us to view.
Ollie.
Hiya, nice to
Gus.
meet you.
Pleased to meet you.
Hi there.
Hiya, nice to meet you.
I'm Will.
We've come about the TT.
Oh yeah, she's inside. I'll open the door for you.
Brilliant. Potentially, this car could be extremely dangerous. If it looks as good as it did in the ad, we're going to end up buying it, whatever's wrong with it.
Yeah. And the problem is, it does look just as good as it did in the advert.
Have we struck grey gold? This 18-year-old Series 1 225 Quattro doesn't have the rear spoiler, which is sought after in the used market. We've been instructed that Ollie knows very little about this car. He just wants it off the premises, and at a price of £1,000, it's take it or leave it today. So only a quick test drive is allowed. A good TT can fetch 2 to 3k, but this one is poorly. Its exhaust has split in half and it overheats, so it can't be driven on the main road. We settle for the slip roads around the industrial estate. Not ideal for sampling the Audi's sub 7-second 0 to 60, but we can still get a taste of its power.
It's great.
Oh, yeah. He'd get that temperature gauge is rocketing. We need to get back right now. Driving a car that overheats risks damaging the engine. It means we've only got a couple of minutes to get a feel for the Roadster.
It's the dark side of it, isn't it? It's a car that's much younger than anything that we've ever had, and that worries me.
Yeah.
And it worries me that I love it because I know what happens, and we both love it, and that's really dangerous because that means we're going to end up buying it.
But should we? The list of little jobs on our beautiful TT is growing longer every second.
The brakes are terrible on it, actually.
Yeah, it's been sat around for a while. Not worried about that. That's a mechanical thing.
Yeah, that's easy.
That's easy peasy.
The gear change is really stiff, so clearly either the cables or, well, something needs attention.
The cables or the sockets at this end, or it could be deep inside the gearbox. This car's suffering from the common faults which are worrying. They're computer control things, so the display there, the controller for the hood, which is not working either.
The windows aren't going up or down.
We buy cars that no one else wants, and this one is bang on brand. It seems to have every single TT fault the car is known for. Are we getting carried away just because it once cost around 30 grand? We've got to decide whether this is actually workable.
You know what? Despite how fabulous that interior is, the car feels like it hasn't been loved. The ABS lights flashing, it's just, it just doesn't feel good.
And how much does he want for it?
And he wants £1,000 for it now.
Yeah.
Which there's just no way that we're going to make any money out of. By the time we've done the exhaust, no way.
The only way we're going to get this one is if we really screw him down on price.
Well, let's talk to him. It's all about how much we can get it for, isn't it?
It is.
How was it?
Excellent. We love it, but it's full of flaws.
Isn't it? You should have seen him trying to drive it with that gear stick.
It's really stiff. It doesn't spring back either, but there's a lot of things we need to do to it, isn't there?
Don't worry, yeah, I mean, it has got problems. You've got to be sure about this. Look, the windows don't go down, the hood doesn't go down, and worst of all, that temperature gauge definitely doesn't go down. And, you know, to make it good for us, we need the price to go down.
The issues that there are realistically, £700 is as much as we can pay.
I can't do 700. It's limited edition seats.
Yeah, that's true.
That is, yeah, fair enough.
What do you think? Shall we try and meet halfway?
I can do 800.
750?
Yeah, 750.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
You got a deal.
Yeah.
Excellent. 750 works for us, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Nice one, Ollie.
We've got a designer car for the price of a designer handbag. But before we start whooping, we also have a list of scary and quite possibly expensive problems. Yet we still need to double its sale price. Let's get it back in the workshop and find out if we can.
When I look at that car now, I can genuinely say it scares me.
Well, I'm not surprised, but we have got it at the price that we hoped for. We've managed to pull him down a long way from the price that he wanted.
Yeah, I still think, and I always think this when we come away, we've paid too much for it.
Back at the workshop, we need to put our thinking hats on, revisit this project with clear heads and work out whether, with only 5 days to turn it around, we are either brave or stupid.
Hello, early bird.
Good morning.
You all right?
Yeah, I am just admiring this, our car.
Yeah.
It's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, I was thinking about this last night. On the outside, it's everything we wanted, isn't it?
Well, I was doing a bit of research on them, and these things have got a catalogue of errors that they often suffer from.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and we already know about the gear stick one, don't we?
Yeah, it's really awkward to get into gear.
Yeah.
It's really awkward to get into, and the temperature gauge.
Windows and the hood.
An exhaust.
Oh, yeah. Well, we've got a long list and only 5 days. I'm
Yeah.
going to go and open up the door.
All right. Oh, can you get the keys? They're on the shelf.
Yeah, no problem.
We advertise the cars as soon as we've got them, so I waste no time and take some pics for our online auction. So I'm listing our Audi TT. Will and I have decided that because this Audi TT
is very special, and we're banking on the fact that if somebody wants to buy a Series 1 Audi TT, they will buy it in the grey with a baseball glove interior. So, to that end, we are putting in a starting price of $1,500. We're going to do a buy it now price for, wait for it, $2,795. And then a reserve price of $2,400. I'm going to post that.
So if the listing says everything works on the car, there is a massive pressure to make that true in just 5 days. The first look underneath is key. It's something we can't do on location.
Yes, got a severe disconnection problem there. Welding job coming up on that?
Well, that's good if you can weld that, or if that can be welded, because this rear section is dealer only and it's 800 quid.
Really? Yeah. I can do a lot of welding for 800 quid. And the great thing is, when we take it out, that'll give us access to the gear cables, which are just above this section.
We've got the cam belt's got to be done.
Yes.
And because of our overheating, probably water pump as well at the same time.
Yeah, definitely.
But the other stuff, like the roof.
Yeah, it's going to be a very, very, very close call. No time to waste. Rather than tackle the critical mechanical issues, we have a brew and decide to start on something cosmetic, since the car is a lot about looking good.
So our Audi TT convertible isn't actually a convertible because the roof doesn't come down. And the reason for that, we think, is the little black box that lives in here. To get to it, I'm going to take the rear window out, which sounds ridiculous, I know, but the rear window has been stuck in so badly that we're never going to get top money for this car if it's like this. You can see the glue all the way around it here. It's a really, really tricky thing to do, and we need to do it very precisely.
There may well be a special tool for the removal of glass, but I use a kitchen knife to prise it out, taking care not to rip the fabric, or I'm into £300 for another hood. I just hope the boffins online are correct about the roof control module, which is basically a switch, being kaput.
So there is our kidney-shaped hole. And there is our black box inside a little cradle there with some 10mm bolts at the top.
If the black box isn't the cause of our broken roof, then we may have to replace the motors or the frame, which will be around £350, a real blow for us. The landlord's son, a boy racer and Audi fan, sold us a used module for £40.
So this is our new, well, it's not new, obviously, because it's us. It's a second-hand. Black box, fairly accurately named. So I'll pull the wires out of one and plug them in the other and see if it works. There we go. So I think I should connect the battery now. It works.
One triumph down. I reflect that I tackle things that require guile and cunning. But for anything sticky and dirty, Will is the man for the job.
This is a rear window out of our Audi, which, as you can see, has fallen out at some point, and somebody's tried gluing it back in with this stuff here. That is PU glue, polyurethane glue, normally used for fixing wood together, not glass into cars. Before it can be glued back in, I've got to clean all that lot off and end up with a nice, clean, shiny surface, like that little sample bit there. I'm going to use this scraper for that because it's a nice clean surface. It just scrapes away beautifully, look. I'm thinking hard for any smart tips relating to nasty mess removal. Don't scratch the glass and don't miss any bits, or your perfectionist partner will moan. Rocket science, it ain't. That's the last bit of glue off there. Still a few more jobs to do, though. This is the surround that goes on, that holds it on the inside. I've got to make a new one of those from PVC vinyl. The electrical connections have come off here and here. If I've got enough time and enough patience, I'm going to solder new ones on those. And before the glass can be glued, bonded into the canvas of the car, I've got to put a special primer on around the edges so it accepts the glue really well. Then it will be a really great little job. Now that the TT is convertible once more, it's time to tackle the mechanical gremlin.
The pleasure of driving this car is seriously marred by the gear change. It goes backwards and forwards fine, but the side to side is really stiff. There's two cables in here. One cable that does up and down, and one cable that does side to side. So clearly, the one that does the side to side is either sticky and it's frayed or it's bent or something. Anyway, it's got to come out, and I'm going to change them both.
Swapping over a gear linkage, a job that crops up on many vintage Volkswagen products. It's basically disconnecting a cable at the gearbox and the shifter and then replacing the cables, about £25. Or you can clean the cables inside. But it's not an easy job in a modern car. The interior and most of the underside will need to be removed to gain access.
So the final step to reveal my gear change mechanism is to take out the centre console here. And I just wanted to take a minute to appreciate this because it's rather beautifully made. And if you take it out in the order that they tell you to take it out, it comes out really beautifully. It's really well thought out. And I've only broken one thing, which is good. So what I should be doing is going underneath the car, dropping the linkage out from the bottom. But the LCD in here is broken. So while I've got all the tools here, I might just whip this out as well, and then we can get that fixed.
A failed dot matrix display in a binnacle is yet another textbook TT fault. Many owners don't bother fixing it as a main dealer would charge £600 for the job. I'll see what can be done later. Now I need to get underneath the car to carry on with the linkage.
The next step in getting to the gear linkage is taking the exhaust pipe off. Well, we know that this exhaust pipe's had it, so it's got to come off anyway. But like all exhaust fixings, they're a nightmare to get off because they've been heated and cooled and heated and cooled. And I suspect... Oh, I suspect they're going to break, but no, not broken.
As usual, just removing the exhaust is a series of minor battles, but little by little I make progress.
Actually, it's ripped it. So we'll need a new rubber. Well, I'd like to say at this point that it wasn't me that ripped it, but actually I think it probably was.
Another blow. There's no way Will can weld these tubes. They are far too rusty. Now we'll have to find another exhaust, potentially a few £100 that we really don't want to spend.
Maybe should have seen that coming.
A trawl of local online ads has offered up a car dealer who has just finished breaking his TT. I've said I'll take the exhaust and I expect to make a cheeky offer on anything else he has. I'm looking forward to this. Apparently this guy has got stacks of bits for me to look through.
Hello.
Hello, are you Pete?
I certainly am. Must be Will.
I am. Good
How you
afternoon.
doing?
Good day.
How you doing?
Yeah, I'm very well. Good day.
Good to meet you.
This looks like our Audi TT exhaust.
This is the Audi TT exhaust minus an Audi TT.
Yes, I've noticed it's not attached. I was kind of expecting to be taking it off myself.
Saved you a job.
So where is the car so I can go and pick it clean of all the other bits we're going to need for our project?
Oh, probably halfway up the M3 at the moment.
Excellent. So Pete has already sold the shell to another hobbyist. I think I'm going to have to load that one up and take it with me.
Excellent. Not before you cross my palm with the requisite amount of gold.
Let's do that next.
Jolly good.
Wonderful how a sweep through the local free ads can bear fruit. The usual scrappy price for an exhaust is 250 to 300 quid. Yet Peter's happy with a bargain 75. I didn't manage to fix it for free, but that's not far off. I'll head back and hopefully by now Gus's mood will have lifted.
I've now left the confines of the workshop manual and am flying by instinct. The job is much more challenging than I expected, but it feels good.
Well, at this point, I would be expecting that to come apart. But I can see the cables now, and hopefully I can get the box out of this space here, slide the new cables in. And all this works, not in vain, because actually putting new cables on this car will make it drive so much better. It's going to be worth it.
After hours of unscrewing and pulling bits off, I seize my prey.
Hey! It's out! Excuse my cheers, but it's been a long time coming. Yes! There it is. Let's have a look, see how bad it is, shall we? And we know that, backwards and forwards is fine, but this is the one that should be really stiff. But in actual fact, It's not stiff at all. In. Which means I have possibly just spent a whole day taking this car apart for no reason whatsoever.
A scream from the other end of the workshop means that the day must finish with a trip to the pub. We've taken long steps forwards, but we've wasted large chunks of our valuable workshop time. It's day 2 out of 5 on Project Audi TT. Gus is still miserable because he can't solve the issues with the gear linkage.
Yes, I'm still short on smiles. 1, I don't know why the linkage is poor. And 2, I have to carefully rebuild all the bits that took me a day to remove.
Oh, when you've only got 5 days to fix a car, spending a whole day ripping out the interior, taking out all the underneath and the prop shaft and the exhaust pipe, it's a real waste of time when you find out that what you've done hasn't fixed the problem. Everything I read about the gear change being stiff on these points to the cables. But in actual fact, and I feel a complete idiot now, but in actual fact, when I took the cables off this end and lifted this, you can feel that it's stiff. It's exactly the same resistance as you get on the gearbox. I should have put 2 and 2 together. But what this does is it opens up a whole new can of worms because I've got to get this pin out of here. And to do that, ideally, I want to take this all off and put it on the bench. But this shaft in here goes all the way through the gearbox, and it's got pins and forks in there that select gears. So I don't want to move that. I don't want to touch that. I don't want anything to touch that. So I'm going to see if I can take this off. Oh, shit. You really don't want to disturb that shaft. That's the key. Because, now that is scary. I'm just going to fill that up with rags so nothing falls in there.
A visit to the vice is the next step for the gear selector.
So this is the cause of all my problems. This little pin in here is clearly seized. That's coming out really easily. Oh, there we go, it's out. But you can see on here, all the lubricant inside here has solidified and is sticky. So I think maybe if I just clean it up, put it back in and see what it feels like.
Just adding a little lubricant, no replacement parts. That's the only remedy I need for the offending pin.
Look at this. So 10 minutes of mild cleaning and I've completely cured the gear change on our Audi TT. So our 225 horsepower Series 1 Audi TT with its awful gear change is now transformed. 3, 4, 5.
And with Uncle Will's new exhaust, we can right another of the TT's multiple wrongs.
You know what? I'm happy with that.
Yeah. Nice, huh?
Yeah, nice and secure.
Our fixed exhaust and linkage have brought positivity to the workshop. Everything is suddenly working in harmony, and Uncle Will is building a bracket to hold the glass while it bombs.
Made my brackets. I need to attach the brackets to the glass, which I can't weld them on, can I, or bolt them on. So I've got these lumps of wood, sticking them on. Now, come over to the car and see how it all works. Everything is cleaned and ready, and this is the moment of truth. Will the brackets work? Will the gluing job work? If you have a headache like this, a professional fitter will be an 80 quid call out, because I'm going to be putting glue all over this lot. And glue being messy, I don't want the glue sticking to all the wrong bits of the canvas, do I? So I'm being a little bit careful, and I'm going to mask it all up neatly first. Fancy glue for sticking canvas and glass together, and it's got a habit of being really, really messy. But my bracket plan isn't quite over. I now need to force the glass towards the bracket. Right, that's the last bit, and I know that when gluing things, once it's set up, don't touch it. So that's me for the day, and I'm going to leave that to dry overnight.
Day 2 is over, and didn't we do well? We've spent just over 100 quid. The TT is looking better. But the roof and gear shift were only distractions. We've avoided tackling the big, nasty jobs, such as the overheating and the cam belt swap. We need to face them.
Day 3. We've resurrected our business fixing up and selling of very poorly cars. Accordingly, we've bought a TT that showcases every fault that plagues these cool coupes. We've got 2 days left to complete all the cosmetic and mechanical jobs. But first, has my window fix been successful? The glass hasn't fallen in, which is good. The glue has squidged out around the edges, which I know at the moment looks a real mess. But the trick is this: you let it squidge out, you want it to squidge out because you're going to cut it off with a blade and make it look really nice and neat and tidy. That looks like a done job. Brackets off on the inside and that's ready to go.
We're doing the thing that all warriors do before battle. And the battle of the day is swapping over the cam belt in an engine that's packed in tight. I'm secretly hoping it's Will's turn to drown in frustration.
This is first generation plastic covers, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
I want to take that off and have a look what's under there.
I bet it's not a nice old-fashioned looking engine.
It's not going to be pretty, is it? Because it's cheaper to put a plastic cover on than it is to make it pretty.
Oh, yeah. There's a multitude of sins.
Yeah, I see where they're coming from with it.
Just like the gear linkage, the issue with changing the cam belt is about access. The job is essential for a car that has been standing. If it fails, it shreds the engine. It's out.
That's out and that's off. The fuse box is off also, which is great. That just clips onto there.
Right, now, if my plan is correct, bearing in mind my plan is different to my actual knowledge, this cover should be coming off now and I should be able to see the cam belts. Oh. God, that's tight. Well, it's loose and rattles around, but...
Oh, good. Sounds like it should come out.
It won't actually come out.
It's like we're 6 weeks in and we still haven't seen the cam belt.
It's not coming off, Gus. Still not coming off.
The guideline number of hours for this job is around 6 to 8. We thought it wouldn't apply to us because we're nice guys, but we were wrong. We've already done 5.
Look, it comes from there to there and stops.
Yeah, so it's hitting that, it's hitting that.
There's a multitude of things down there. I mean, there are literally 700 things for it to catch on.
Aha. Once you start taking big lumps out of these, they become less scary, don't they? Because you see, like, clearly there's a gearbox, there's the gear change mechanism. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean, but I haven't got the first bit off yet. My without reading the instructions approach isn't working, so I think I'm going to remove the cooling system to gain access to the other engine belts, which hide the cam belt, and then try another route into the engine bay. Now, I can't actually see what I'm aiming for, but I guess that there's a fixing up in here. And if that 10mm socket feels like it's doing something, yes. Oh, lovely. I think I've got the invisible fixing. Hey, that's a genuine big celebration. And I can see all the other bits I need to get to. I tell you, this is not an easy, straightforward job. Up and down goes the TT. I need to pull off an engine mount, so I support the engine on a jack while I unscrew it. It's a move in the right direction, but there are still dozens of bits to remove, and each should be catalogued, photographed and stored carefully, and primed to go back in the right slot. Ow! Ooh. Yes! That was a nightmare. But, with any luck... Oh, yes. Oh, come on, please. Yeah, look at that. Ha-ha! There it comes. And so does the pulley and the belt. After what seems like weeks of work, that's the cam belt finally out.
While Will battles with oil, grease and general frustration, I've escaped for a breather. There's a functional aspect to my journey too. I'm taking the faulty binnacle to a specialist.
Hello.
Hello there.
I've got a rather sick LCD cluster for a TT.
Yes, is it in for the LCD display?
That's exactly what it is. Yeah, and I know that people would probably normally drop them off, but I'm really interested to see the process.
Yeah, I'm sure that's no problem. Do you want to come through and meet Richard?
Can I?
Yes.
Brilliant.
I absolutely respect small, smart companies that are making inexpensive fixes possible for thousands of motorists. And anyway, it's a job we can't do ourselves.
So already this is proper tech, well beyond my learning.
So
that's our LCD, clearly.
yeah,
That's just how they are.
that's how they are, yeah. It's totally unreadable.
Yeah.
These binnacles and close relatives are used in multiple VW Group models and come apart quickly.
I'm removing the front board from the back board now.
Uh-huh. See, this all scares me. It's incredibly scary.
And there we have the screen.
There it is.
The main job is to vacuum up the old solder connections so we can get the broken screen off.
So this is your broken screen.
Wow, amazing.
A new screen is attached and soldered into place.
There you go.
Look at that. That is amazing. Very, very precise.
Then the binnacle is rebuilt, all working. £99 for this is a bargain, I think. The whole process has taken around half an hour of skilled work.
It's that click, isn't it?
Yeah.
Everything there.
They click
that
home.
click. No hammers, no spanners,
No.
no shouting.
Clean hands.
Excellent.
From a pair of clean hands to the dirtiest in the business. Back at the workshop, Will is preparing for battle.
I'm about to put the new cam belt on. I need to look at the water pump. It's probably the cause of our overheating. I've got to drain the water out of the engine. Now, there's two ways of doing that. There's the correct way, which is taking off the bottom hose and draining it into a container, and the way I'm going to do it. So I need to change the water pump anyway, so I'm just going to take that out and let the water come out. So I'm going to catch as much as I can, and hopefully Gus won't be too cross. Our engine's been overheating, and it's very, very, very easy to see why. This is the impeller off the water pump. Those two bits should fit together like that. They pump the water around the engine. And in all these bits like that, there's no way that could ever possibly work. So I found the root of the problem. I've got the solution, which is a new water pump. And thankfully, I'm changing the fluid at the same time. I run some lube around the O-ring of the 20 quid water pump and fit it. Now I can get the new belt into position. A struggle with hardly any access. Now, it's always a bit of a fiddle getting these things in, especially on ones like this, which are a bit complicated. Got to get the belt roughly in place. And on this one, it's got to go in behind this great big bracket. And that's it, a new cam belt and water pump.
When brave fellows can give no more to particularly tough and thankless jobs, they must hang up their hats and head home. Financially, the whole project owes us just under £1,000, and honestly, we're reaching the limit of what we can spend if we want to sell the TT on for a profit. It's day 4 out of 5 for our £750 Audi TT. It looked amazing, but wasn't. Now, some of it actually works, but time is tight, and there's plenty left to do, like the brakes that don't break.
That's really bad. You can see all the way around the edge there how worn this disc is. It feels like it's worse on the back. There's quite a lot of rust on it.
The discs need to be swapped over, which will cost only £40 if we're OK with aftermarket gear, which we are. But getting the discs out is going to be tough. They're rusted into the caliper.
I'm just pushing the piston back in the caliper, and I've got a screwdriver in it because I'm replacing these discs. It doesn't matter if I mark them, so I'm pushing them right in so it just slides straight out.
You'd be surprised how many issues are caused by dust and grime. So a clean of all 4 brakes and internals is the next job.
So I've cleaned all this up, ready for the disc to go back on and the caliper to go back on with the new pads in it. But first, I've got to change this ABS sensor because we've been told that it's faulty. So this creates a magnetic field which is broken and completed by the holes and
in this disc here, thus sensing the speed of the wheel.
I saw an ABS warning light on the test drive, so once the sensor is replaced, the error message will clear.
When we were test driving this car the other day, we noticed that there was a very small but very annoying little knock coming from the front suspension. So I've had a look and I found it's where the anti-roll bar, which is the bit that links the suspension from one side to the other to stop the car from leaning over on corners, has got play in one of the joints on the bottom of the roll bar drop link, which joins the roll bar to the suspension itself, to the moving part. This is the movement here. You can see that there has got a tiny bit of play in it, which doesn't seem like very much, but it's an awful lot when you're actually driving the car, so that needs replacing. Great thing is, it's cheap and relatively easy. This component here, which is the bit that's broken, this bottom joint here, is only 15 quid. So it might be easy, but only on paper. It's actually really hard to get the bolts undone. Before the new unit goes on, I dab a little copper slip on the joints to stop it seizing up with rust. Right, that's the nasty knock on the suspension sorted. Quickly, easily, and for not very much money.
It feels good to be finalising the smaller jobs and getting the car to perfection as promised in the auction. But will the car sell?
It looks like the sunny weather has got people in the spirits for buying an open-top sports car, which is really good news. And we've actually got some bids. Not quite up to our reserve price, but it's a step in the right direction.
Day 4's done. Our total spend, including the car, is around £1,000, which is great, even though academic. No one has offered to buy it.
It's time now to increase the sales potential without spending any more money. Our little car is 18 years old, and to be honest, it's got away with it. It doesn't look too bad. Most of the wheels look really good, but this one has been curbed to hell and looks really, really glossy. Now, I'm not going to spend a great deal of time on this because we're in a bit of a hurry. So, using sandpaper, a block of wood, some masking tape, 2 cans of paint, I'm going to make this look brilliant. This have-a-go wheel refurbishment might seem a little bit pony, but it is similar to a professional job. You might also notice the hubcap is missing, but we've got one which only cost us £5. Now, this isn't a proper job, but it will look tons better, and that's what I'm after. Next up, there's a gaping hole in the dash that needs its old binnacle plumbing back in.
My instant reaction when we had the LCD trouble was to say, OK, let's just go and get one from a scrapyard. But you can't do that. I mean, I didn't know it at the time, but Richard has told us you can't do that because they're coded. Each of these binnacles is coded to the car that they come out of. So I'm going to put this one in, and hopefully it's going to work. Right, moment of truth. So when you turn the key on, turn the ignition on after you've put your binnacle in, you're going to have a nasty surprise because the key light is going to flash and you won't be able to turn the engine over. But that's because during the process of fixing these and taking them apart, the key and the binnacle have unsynced. Apparently, if you take them out for any amount of time, that happens. So what you have to do is you have to turn the ignition on and leave it on with the light flashing for 10 minutes, and it gives them time to resync. So let's see if that's the case.
Well, at least it lights up.
So we've got a fully functioning dash now. I'll leave that.
That's it. The Audi is done. We've addressed the broken hood, fixed the cam belt and water pump, replaced the discs and drop links, refurbished the instrument panel, fitted a new exhaust and improved one of the wheels. Add in the other spares and we're in for £1,175. That's insane. All the good stuff of the Audi remains, but all the bad stuff, like the listing says, doesn't exist.
Yeah, but did you enjoy working on this car?
No, Gus, I didn't. At times, I felt like I'd rather be banging my head against a brick wall.
Well, I was doing that at some point.
Yeah, you were. No, but you know, what I learnt about working on this car, it stands testament to the Audi and German technology.
Yeah, they were trying very hard, weren't they, when they built this car? This was their sort of brave new world, wasn't it?
Yeah, it really, really was. Well, they had to try hard. I mean, look at the market they were breaking into. They had to make a car which was brilliant. And they have.
I just want to see how it drives.
The test drive of the Audi TT is at a private test track outside London. Press versions of the TT would have been photographed here, so it's a good fit that way, but more importantly, if the engine blows up, we're not far from help.
We've got a smoking hot car.
It's a really good car. Probably best car we've ever had.
This is definitely the best car we've ever had.
By a country mile, yeah.
Yeah! Oh, this car's awesome.
The last time we drove the TT, it was at 20 miles an hour, and this is supposed to be a performance car. It's time to set the beast free.
This thing has got a little bit of poke, hasn't it?
Oh, yeah, it still feels amazing. I mean, it really does feel amazing.
It's a very smooth delivery of power.
Yeah, and the steering feels great. The gearbox, the gear change, feels really progressive. And I'm not just saying that because it took me all day to pseudo fix it and then 10 minutes to fix it. I do actually mean that. It feels great. And if you think this car was much maligned, wasn't it? Because it was really between this and the Boxster, wasn't it? And people looked at the Boxster and said, oh, that's a purist sports car. This is based on a Golf. But in actual fact, this four-wheel drive system, and it's got ample power.
Yeah.
It's actually, this is the car you'd have, isn't it?
It is, yeah. The 4x4 system is the cleverest one of its generation and certainly of its time. For me, it would be the one to have.
So who is lined up to have this one? We didn't fix this car up to have a laugh. We're a business. And to keep afloat, we need to double our money, and that means bids of 2,400 as a minimum. We've had some interest, but is it close? Will's been keeping an eye on the figures and should know.
We don't have anybody wanting to buy it at 2,795, which is a pity, obviously. We don't even have anybody coming in at 2,400 for our reserve price, which is a shame. But I have got a small confession, though.
Oh, OK.
You know, my missus has taken a bit of a shine to this car.
You know, that is a terrible, terrible business model. We're not in business to do up cars to sell to ourselves. We're never going to get top money, and also, if they break, we'll end up fixing them ourselves.
I thought you might say that. Yeah, I've got another confession. You're right. You're right. But I'm sure there's a way we could do it.
Clearly, we're going to get more money for this car if someone else buys it than you do.
A partnership is a fragile thing. We're a business, and that's the way it is. Will must understand I cannot let this car go cheap. It's too good. If we can't sell it at the right price now, we'll have to keep it until we can.
This is a dilemma, isn't it? There's only one way forward. My missus must deal directly with Gus and make a decent offer. If he can live with it, fine. If he says no, for the sake of our friendship and more importantly, our business, I've got to accept it.
Hello!
Oh, Gus!
How are you?
Hello there.
All right. I'm all right. Yeah, fine.
Hello, darling.
Hello, darling. Now, I think it's honourable for me at the moment to bow out of the business transaction.
We were saying earlier, it seemed like a bizarre thing to do, selling to family and friends, but actually, it don't make any odds, does it? I mean, if you want it, you want it. That's the way it is.
I kind of agree with you, because this, you know, this is your business. But over the last sort of week, you've both been talking about this car. I have so been missing having a sports car.
But it depends how much you want it, doesn't it? That's the key. Oh, excellent. That's also good.
I want it. You're going to talk price, aren't you? I know what you're going to do.
That's where we were going.
This is an honest car with
a few blemishes.
with a few little scratches, kind of hidden
Yeah.
here and there.
But honest is our thing. We haven't tried to cover them up.
No, and I really like that. But under this, you know, it's an oldish car. But under that, you've still got, you know, an iconic Mark 1. You've got the Quattro. It's, you know, the big engine. Yeah, so I'd offer you the 2,400 reserve.
Well, I think we'd bite your arm off of that.
Yes.
Your car, madam.
Thank you, guys. In the passenger seat.
That was easy.
Brilliant. Thank you, guys.
£2,400 of proper cash is paid into our kitty. No warranty is implied or given. We've doubled our money and put 50 quid on top. I think this proves it. We're back.